Let's talk.
John Brown.
Why I care. Ed Davey wants to rewrite British politics, not with the language of crisis, but that of care. He's offering something rare, moral clarity rooted in lived experience. Care is the thread that runs through Ed Davey's life. You will know him from his leading role in British politics. I'm delighted to say that Sir Ed Davey joins me live on the line now. Shall I refer to you as Sir Edward, Sir Davey? What's the best way to speak to you, please?
Jar, just call me Ed. That's just fine, thank you.
Good. Well, good morning, Ed, and welcome to Talk Radio Europe.
Great, it's great to be with you, and say hello to all you listeners in Spain and maybe beyond.
Indeed. Thanks. Good to be with us. So tell me a little bit, because people will know you obviously from your campaigning work. You were all over our television sets in the run up to the general elections, etc. What's he going to do now? How was that for you, by the way? I mean, I think you sort of reset British political life a little bit there during the Euro campaign, didn't you?
Well, that's very kind of you. Well, listen, we wanted to get more time on TV. And so we gave a reason for the cameras to turn up, and, whether it's falling off paddle boards or bungee jumping or whatever. And we had quite a fun, and people seemed to like it. But actually, what was really weird? I spent more time talking about Liberal Democrat ideas and policies and stuff than any election I can remember. Because people came and talked to us because of what we were doing. So we had fun, hopefully made people laugh, but also hopefully engaged with them.
That's the thing, isn't it? That's perhaps the thing in politics, to get people interested. And I'm not saying that, because when I said, I'm going to have Sir Ed Davey on, somebody said, are you going to fire him out of a catapult off the top of the building and sort of somebody and interview him halfway through? But there's a serious, apart from the fact that Ice Creams apparently went down a storm with the assorted press because friends of mine were there, but, it is getting the message out there. And that's perhaps, the crux of bit of politics.
Yeah, I can understand why people are turned off politics. I've been doing it for a while, and I get that. I really understand. People feel let down. They feel that we don't understand them. We're all sort of grey suits and all that sort of stuff. And I think it's incumbent. It's our job to hopefully interest people, but also make it relevant to their lives. And that means, I think, showing that we're human beings, that actually we like to laugh too, as well as having a serious message. And, we're here to talk about my book, Why I Care. And that's part of my own journey, actually, of telling people who I am, because I never used to talk about it before I became leader. And then people started asking me questions. Who are you? What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And so my story started coming out. People started reacting to it. And so we decided, well, let's tell more of it. People seem to be interested in it.
And this is the thing, especially as we move, further into the 21st century, is politics seems to be becoming a game of, who's got the most bravado, who's got the biggest, waving whatever in the air. I'm an alpha male. I'm a strong man. I'm leading my country in this direction, or a strong woman. And there are no chinks in my armor. And so to have somebody there are chinks in my armor. This is my story. I'm a human being. I'm not a Superman. Is incredibly brave, to put that out there, because you're not doing this as look at me, this is a situation and I want your vote. This is an intensely personal book, Ed.
Yeah, and to be honest, I've always worried. I don't want anyone to feel any sympathy for me. I just want to actually explain what my experience is, because I think it's the experience of millions of people, and millions of people whose story is forgotten by mainstream politics, which is part of the problem of politics, by the way. If you look at in the UK, there's people, different estimates vary, but say it's 7 million people at any one time are looking after a loved one. Often it's looking after a husband or wife who's got dementia or who's frail and elderly. Sometimes it's a disabled member of the family, son, daughter, brother, sister. And there's so many, but their voice, their mainstream debate. You talk about the health service, we talk about care homes, really important issues, but family carers in their own homes are doing the vast bulk of caring. And that story doesn't get told. And from my experience of being a young carer for my mum and then looking after my nana and now looking after my son, I just think it's so massive in my life, and I know it's massive in others. And I think it really matters that people understand that experience.
Is it, I mean, because your father died when you were very young indeed. Your mother, as you said before, had cancer, and you and your family cared for her. Is that, I mean, obviously it's a formative experience. Is that what led you into this particular, political arena?
No, I wouldn't say that, actually. I mean, it certainly shaped who I am. So I lost my dad when I was 4. Mum was widowed with 3 boys under 10. I was the youngest. She was in her mid-30s. And she was amazing, and she sort of somehow coped with that. I never really knew my dad except from the stories that my mum told about him. But she ensured that we had a happy upbringing. But then when I was 9, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She had a mastectomy, and we thought and hoped it went away, but it came back 3 years later onto her bones. And then bone cancer, or secondary breast cancer on the bones, is really painful and very difficult to deal with, even more so back in this period, which was sort of 79, 81. And I'm afraid she was pretty ill, particularly the last 18 months. And we looked after her, particularly my middle brother, Henry, and I, with my nana and granddad, and the odd person helping out here and there. But yeah, we looked after her. It was full on care. It wasn't. It was really full on care. Because
I think this is I mean, a lot of people won't have to go through this in terms of caring for a family member. And you say it's full on. It's full on. It's full time. It's 24/7. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to get back from work and I can then schedule in a couple of hours of care. It doesn't work like that, does it?
Yeah, I mean, I was at school, obviously, and Mum wanted me to continue to go to school, but sometimes I was late, and often I was just thinking about her. And the key issue was who was checking on her. Was it, my nana or my granddad or whoever? And then you get back home, and you were caring. I have to say, I don't want to give the impression that, and a lot of people you care for in your family, they're not needing care every single minute of the day, but need it at key moments, getting up, meal times, going to bed, all those sorts of moments. And you need to be there to them. And another part of care, I think, is the relationship you have, just speaking and talking and being there. And when I look back on looking after Mum, so I'm 13, 14-year-old, I spent hours just lying on her bed with her, just chatting to her. And then because she'd been widowed, she was quite careful with her money, but she started splashing out a little bit. And splashing out back then meant getting a remote control TV.
Was it the clicker? Well, the clicker ones. Yeah.
Yeah, it was because for me it was like magic. Previously I had to get up from the sofa, but I'm showing my age, I guess. And we'd watch soaps and stuff on the TV, and we'd just be with each other. And I probably, as a teenage boy, spoke more to my mum than most teenage boys do, really.
Yeah, I suppose I'm just remembering the drama of losing the clicker, when on one of the 3 or 4 channels at the time. And of course, you've also had the same situation with your son, Tom. Is it Tom? Yeah.
No, it's John.
John. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he. When he was born, we thought he was, like any other little baby, and we were just on top of the world. He was our first child. And then sort of 6 months, 9 months in, we could see he wasn't developing like normal little babies. And we had a initial diagnosis that he got cerebral palsy, but he doesn't. We don't know what he's got. The best hospitals in the UK, Great Ormond Street in a children's hospital, just can't work out what he's got, but he has in his brain, he hasn't got the white matter that you normally have. The back of his brain, a place called the cerebellum, is smaller than it should be. And what that means is he can't really walk by himself. He's not got much control over his limbs and hands and whatever. He finds it very difficult to speak and communicate, and he's got learning disabilities. So he's quite profoundly disabled. He's stable. He doesn't have to have health interventions every minute of the day.
Right.
But it's quite challenging for him. He needs 24/7 care. He does need someone there the whole time. But he's adorable. He's now 17. It's hard to believe, really. And we've done loads of work on him to help him be the best person he can be.
Again, this is another, let me phrase this correctly, Ed, because this is going to sound awful, and that's why I'm a professional radio presenter. But, did you think, not here we go again, but did you ever have that sort of why me if you've been through that with your mother and then you find it situated, or do you take it as an opportunity and he's this is our boy and we're going to carry on and do the best that we possibly can for him, because it's a huge pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, Mum. Yeah, and I wish John was able to do more than he can. However, there's no point feeling sorry for yourself, and really, you just got to get on and make the best of it. And the truth is, John is lovely. He's a light of my life, and we have a great time together. I'm very fortunate to have a great relationship. I mean, sometimes you talk to parents who've got children with special needs or disabilities, and they say, and I really, really relate to this. You have your baby and it's like you're going on holiday. You're going to go on a plane. You're going to go to Venice or dare I say, south of Spain, looking for a lovely holiday. And the plane diverts to Brussels.
Nothing wrong with Brussels, we'd like to say at this point, Ed, but there you go.
No, nothing wrong with Brussels, but it may not have the climate of the south of Spain, would be my guess. And it wasn't what you were hoping for or planning for. But then you get off in Brussels and you go round the town and you have some chips and some moule and some frites and all that and a Belgian beer. And you go, you know what? I think we could have some fun here. And that's how I feel about John. It wasn't what we expected, but we have a load of fun with him. And whether it's talking about his naughty parrot or talking about him doing lion impressions or all the fun things that we do together. He loves swimming, splashing around. He has a tricycle, and we go on family walks with him on his tricycle. We have fun, and it's great. I mean, you obviously worry about the future. Of course you do, but you do worry about the future for any of your children, right?
Sure.
But particularly when they're quite vulnerable, I guess.
The naughty parrot. I mean, I wouldn't be doing my job, Ed, if I didn't ask about the naughty parrot. What's the background story on that?
Well, it's a little toy that speaks back to you like a parrot does, right? You say, good morning, and it speaks back. It says, good morning. And I bought it as a toy for him, so he could try and encourage him to speak. So he has a few words, right? And a lot more now. He was basically non-verbal till he was about 8.
Right. And
then for a whole set of reasons, we managed to get him to talk. Not many words, I'm afraid. Just as, you can't have a conversation like this, but he can begin to express himself verbally. And that's been a real joy. I mean, when he said daddy for the first time when he was 9, it was one of those like moments in my life. And, in the morning, sometimes if I'm not getting out of bed, I'll hear him say, daddy, get out of bed. Or if I'm on the toilet, he'll say, daddy, get off the toilet. and that's quite a long sentence for him. But he wants my attention. So we'll go and then we'll talk to the naughty parrot.
Fair enough. That's got rid of that backstory. So the book. What inspired you? What was the chispa, as we say in these parts of the world? What was the spark to write this?
To be honest, HarperCollins, who published it, came to us with the idea that they'd seen the things we'd done in the general election campaign, particularly at our party election broadcasts, where I talked about my life as a carer, particularly talked about John, and put it in the context of how we need to improve the NHS and looking after people. That's quite a big political issue. And they said, that story is really interesting. We'd like you to write a book about it. Are you interested? And we thought about it a while. And I feel very strongly that in British politics, we've talked about sorting out the social care system for years. In fact, if you track back, as I say in the book, since 1997, we've had 25 reviews, commissions, select committee reports, inquiries, 25 into how you sort out social care. And we've still not done it. And what happens is governments kick the can down the road. They say, it's going to be too difficult, too expensive. Let's not do it. Well, pretend we're going to do it. And then they don't do it. And the current government, it set up a commission under a very able woman called Louise Casey. But they've said it's got 3 years to report, and they'll eventually get around to implementing its recommendations in the next decade. So some more kicking the can down the road, So I want to make sure that the issue of care, families, what it means for the loved ones, the way that it could actually help us with the NHS, that doesn't get forgotten. So when HarperCollins talked about this idea, we said, hey, we'll go for that. And so we wrote the book.
Because the thing is, I mean, this is demographics, and we're the same sort of age, so we're in the prime of our youth, obviously. But we're pushing that we're pushing some 100 years old, and we were always told when we were students in the 80s, that the demographics and the Europe was getting grey, and we were like, yeah, well that's 40 years from now, and here we are now, 40 years later, and suddenly care is becoming an issue because we're all living longer, but because of various events that happened, as we say in this part of the word, Brexit, otherwise known as Brexit, has mucked up a lot of the care industry and the people who want to go into those jobs. It is going to become an issue that affects more and more of us. That's part one of what I'd like to ask you. And the second is how you look at care. Because I'm talking to you from southern Spain. We're based in Spain. A lot of the care has traditionally been done by the family unit, because the community here is still very, very strong. In a way, perhaps in Northern Europe, the family is not perhaps as tightly bonded due to a variety of social and economic reasons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, one of the messages in the book, although I don't draw on the Spanish culture or anywhere else, that we need to think about care more in the community. And if we support the family better, or friends who are caring for, they will be a lot happier, and it will help the challenges of the health system. I mean, it seems to me, whether you're talking about social care, care homes, whether you're talking about the NHS, if you don't involve the family and the loved ones, if the community isn't involved, yes, you end up in quite bureaucratic, expensive systems, which cost a fortune and aren't very good. And Spain actually has quite a good reputation for its healthcare system. I think you're probably right that more care happens in the family and in the community in Spain than it does in Northern European countries. And we should learn from that. Now, it's not the only thing we should do. I mean, I've got a whole load of ideas in the book about how we need to change it here in the UK. But I guess the other thing I'd say is, to your question, is the challenge of care, the challenge of demographics, isn't a UK-only problem, right? It's worldwide. Unless we think about it intelligently, learn from best practice in other countries, change what we're doing at the moment because it ain't working, we've got a problem. We've got a massive problem.
And how, when it comes to writing this book, how do you engage with? How did you go about setting to engage without it being, not saying it would be Ed, but being a lecturing and hectoring and this is what we should do, because that would sort of turn people. If it was another manifesto or Ed's vision for 2024 or 2040 and beyond, that wouldn't be a page turner, as the saying goes.
It wouldn't be. I think you're right. We wanted to avoid that. So the book's really in 3 sections. The first 3 chapters about my life as a carer, as a young carer, then looking after my nana when she was elderly, because she looked after me when mum died, and then I looked after her, and then looking after my son. So the first 3 chapters are really about my own experience. Then, because I wanted to make it clear that this is not about me, it's about millions of people, I got 4 different carers who kindly agreed to write a chapter on their experience. So we have an amazing woman called Helen who cares for her elder son who's severely autistic. Norman, who cares for his wife Roz, although I've heard very recently that she sadly died. Then we also had another young carer who looked after a mum who was abusive to them. And then we had a mother who looked after a son who had got mental health problems. So we told their stories in the book. And then we brought out some of the lessons, the broader lessons, and the broader experiences of many other people. So hopefully it tells not my story, not just my agenda, but the agenda of many other people.
Should we be reevaluating, should we be holding carers in higher esteem? Because it seems to be one of these things that, okay, it's very few people are seen to be going into care as a profession, if you like, and we should be making it more rewarding, but also giving these carers a break, because as we said before, it's not clocking in and clocking off. It's emotionally draining, etc. And we seem to think that you have to, stay on the front line all the time.
Yeah, well, let me divide carers into two groups, although they obviously interlink. The one of the carers, and one of the big messages of my story, is the family carers who aren't paid. Yeah, they're doing it because they're looking after loved ones. We need to value them much, much more. That's a core message. But then when you come to carers who are working in our care homes, looking after loved ones, coming into our homes and helping us and helping families, you might call them professional carers. We absolutely need to value them a lot more. And one of the things I've argued for is a special higher minimum wage for them. So we have the what's called the living wage, which is a minimum wage for everybody. Everyone has to be paid at least that. I'm arguing that carers, because we are short of them, because we need to value them more, should be paid at least £2 an hour more than the normal minimum wage. And I think that would be a statement of society that we value them, and it would help deal with the shortage, because we desperately need more care workers.
When you pressed send on your computer and it went off to HarperCollins, and was there a moment, because you're used to speaking in public, you're used to writing speeches, etc. But again, this is an entirely different, different proposition. There must have been a little bit of anxiety that you had probably before you step on the podium at the party conference, perhaps.
Yeah, very different though, because I've been working on it with people who've been helping me, particularly the other carers, for some time, and it was like we'd achieved it. And we'd actually written it, and it had gone through all the sub-editors and all the rest of it. So it felt a moment of achievement. So I guess with some nerves. The nerves, to be honest, were when I was opening the box, when the books had come back, and thinking, well, what's this going to be like? What's it going to look like? What does it feel like? But that was excitement as well. So I've really enjoyed it. I just hope people like reading it. And I hope they feel it's different from most of the books that politicians write. I wanted it to be quite different.
I was going to say, if people want to find out more about you, where can they follow you? But I mean, you are quite. I mean, if you're not from like bungee jump, and that was a hell of a bungee jump, by the way, Ed. I mean, I wouldn't have done that. But
where's the best? Tell you about bungee jumping.
Yeah, go on. As you're here, yeah.
Well, the best advice I had about bungee jumping was don't look down. Look to the horizon. So I took that advice, and then I just jumped for the horizon. Then I started looking.
It's never a good idea, is it, to sort of look down?
As I who did it with me, lovely guy. He looked down, and do you know what he saw when he looked down? He saw a cemetery.
Oh no!
Which was probably not very encouraging.
No, you don't want that to come past as well. The book is called Why I Care and Why Cares Matters. It's by Ed Davey, otherwise known as Sir Ed Davey. By the way, good times at the moment, fascinating times. Obviously, I won't drag you into the whole political scene at the moment, but very strong results for the Liberals as well. Bit of a surge, West Country has always been, and always been good for you guys. So you must be quietly enjoying the role that you've got at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I think I don't know what's happened there. I think we're doing a lot better than many people think. We got our best result for 100 years, the last general election. Really proud of that. In the West Country, you said, but actually many places that previously had voted Conservative. We got 6 MPs in Surrey now, 5 in Sussex. Yeah. So 4 Tory heartlands have gone Liberal Democrat, and we're really proud of that. But, we need to do even better. And so, we're doing really well at local election results and councils now. We've run more council by-elections since May than any other party. Last May is the first time we'd ever beaten both Labour and the Conservatives at local elections. So, we feel we're on we've got momentum, and we're getting some lovely responses on the doorstep.
Yeah.
So, I think people like what we're saying about care. To be honest, they also like the fact we're standing up to Donald Trump. we're the only political party in Britain who's saying Donald Trump is not a reliable ally to the United Kingdom. And if I'll be honest with you, I never thought I'd say that about a president of the United States. I've always been a supporter of that transatlantic relationship, but Donald Trump, I'm afraid, is beyond the pale.
Do you find that, and again, it's a bit funny for a man who, like I said, was throwing himself off bungee jumping or something, but in the bombast at the moment that we're going through in terms of political statements being made and social media and all that sort of thing, your quiet style of persuasion, even when you're leaping off bungee jumping thing, but it is the quiet voice of reason rather than the politics by the tweet or by the X or the social media or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we do a bit of that as well. I mean, if you go onto our TikTok feed, you'll see some snappy stuff. And you obviously not yet. I mean,
I don't TikTok. I'm sorry. I'm 50 something years old. I let the goddaughters do that. Trust me.
Yeah. Well, I didn't expect to be on TikTok, but I am now. And do you know what? I think it's really important because there are people whose views I don't agree with who are doing quite well on TikTok. So Nigel Farage from Reform, I don't share his views, but he's doing quite well. So we've got to go there and challenge other people and tell youngsters, because it's mainly youngsters on TikTok, not exclusive, mainly youngsters. And we've got to enable them to hear different voices. Really important, that.
Indeed. The book is called Why I Care and Why Cares Matters. It's by Sir Ed Davey. Ed, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you this morning.
Cheers, likewise. Really nice. I hope I can next time down in Marbella.
Absolutely. Come and have a cafe con leche or something stronger and we can talk about it face to face. Ed Davey, thank you so much for your time today.
Hasta luego.